I think there's a lot of people today from apps of different sizes, so from small to mid-size to enterprise, which is good news. Bad news is that I chose a 3-hour topic for a 15-minute speech, so we'll need to rush through that. Let's get started. I work in Freeletics, which is a fitness app, German fitness app. I also have a website called 41screenshots.com, which I'll be talking about in a second. Before that, I worked in Feature, which is a Berlin-based mobile growth agency. And I also used to be head of marketing in Split Metrics. The sum total of that experience, I think, gives me the kind of opportunity and the outlook on apps of various stages and how ASO for those should be done, because basically that's what I've been doing for the past few years. Cool, let's kick it off. To start, App Store optimization simplified is visibility optimization. How do we make sure our app is visible in the App Store? How do we make sure people find our app? Step 2, once they find our app, how do we make sure people convert and actually download our app? Within each of those layers, there is a lot of tactics and activities you might be doing. Within visibility optimization, it's everything from keywords to ratings to category ranking, localization, store ads, and whatnot. If we're talking about conversion, it's creative assets, copy assets, search ranking, the impact of localization on conversion rate. It's a lot of stuff. It's impossible for one ASO team to do all of that at the same time effectively. So the trick is to prioritize that correctly depending on the size of your app, basically. Speaking of the size of the app, this is a subjective split by size, which I think is roughly correct and indicative of various kinds of apps. So small to pre-launch, for me, is a new app or a pre-launch app with around 1,000 to 2,000 downloads per month in a target market with kind of no brand power yet because, well, nobody knows about the app. And the ASO would be one of or the main kind of only channel for UA. Mid-sized app would be an established app. It might be for a few years in the market already with 10 to 50,000 downloads a month in a target market with search traffic, which is primarily generic. So brand still probably does not drive all of the traffic. And large percentage of total downloads are coming from channels outside of the store. So that's your paid UA, social media, and whatnot. Then large to enterprise, this is kind of difficult to, I guess, split. But overall, for a large app, I would say it's an app with over 50,000 downloads a month from a target market, kind of strong brand equity, well-established marketing team that covers a lot of functions, and also pretty diversified traffic mix. And then enterprise, it's kind of hundreds of thousands of downloads per month in a target market. It's your Walmarts, Airbnbs of the world. And the brand at this point is probably a household name. So the majority of search traffic comes from brand. Here, just one thing. I'm talking about downloads per month in a target market because basically that's how ASO is done. You do keyword optimization on the storefront level. You do A/B tests on a storefront level. You never test on all of the traffic. I'm clicking on a different button. Let's start with small apps. For small apps, ASO, I would say, is the most impactful. This is the list of tactics which I think are impactful and need to be prioritized for small apps. So that's your active keyword optimization. If keyword optimization is ever effective, it's for pre-launch or small apps. Creative optimization based on best practices, sequential A/B testing or kind of just before and after A/B testing, testing 1 to 2 creative concepts a month, focusing on a low number of key markets, doing keyword optimization for secondary localizations, choosing the right category right away, and trying to secure some extra visibility through the use of in-app events on iOS or securing that new launch featuring on Google Play. To go into more details, first of all, about keyword optimization. At this stage, as I said, I think keyword optimization makes the most sense for an app. It will drive a lot of kind of measurable, big impact. You want to do active keyword optimization with 3 to 4 week intervals because that's the time for the algorithm to kind of index your keywords properly and to rank your keywords to their kind of highest potential. You want to target low to mid volume keywords. You won't be competitive to target keywords with volume over 50. So you want to be smart about that and realistic about what kind of keywords are actually relevant for you, but also realistic to rank for. If possible, try to include some competitor keywords in your metadata, especially if the competitor brand name is kind of generic keywords. Finally, leverage secondary localizations. That is especially true for the US market and especially true for kind of Spanish Mexico. secondary localizations. There is a lot of them being indexed in the US, but from what I've seen, Spanish Mexico has somehow the most weight for the algorithm. Creative optimization. For a small app, you will not have enough traffic to run kind of solid A/B tests on Google Play or product page optimization on the App Store. What you can do instead first is to design your screenshots icon based on the best practices, steal from the competitors, just get inspired by other great apps in other categories and just rely on your ASO experience here. Test directly in the store. So you don't have much to lose when it's a small app. The risk tolerance is quite high. You can just be applying the results, doing before and after testing. This is a little more risky, but at least the data is correct. And you would see what actually works and what doesn't. Try testing 1 to 2 concepts per month like that, because usually if you do before and after testing, you need at least a week before and a week after. So that's a two-week period. Starting with the icon, I put that here just because the icon is the most important creative element within the product page. But basically go from the most to least important and try to swing for the big wins. It's not about being scientific and kind of being able to isolate the conversion rate impact to the change of color or to the change of screenshots order. You might go with like full redesigns. You might be changing 3 or 4 elements at a time. That's just the reality of being a small app. You want to know, like you want to see the result maybe at that stage. Again, you just need to swing for those big wins. Speaking of best practices, I have a website. It's called 41 Screenshots. It's a kind of curated collection of good App Store screenshots, which I think you can check out and use for your own inspiration. Cool. Getting some extra visibility through in-app events and featuring. On the App Store, in-app events are a great way to get some of that extra visibility. They're relatively easy to make, especially if your product team is on board with kind of ASO goals. They also give you a small chance of getting featured. Sometimes the App Store editorial team might actually pick up your kind of in-app event and boost it on the Today page. It's a small chance, but it's a chance. If you have access to an App Store representative, that's even better. Just try to pitch that in-app event to them kind of with a good story about what's actually updating around 6 weeks before the start of the event. That's usually the timeline for the editorial team to make that decision of whether or not featuring you or not. You can do that in Google Play because, at least right now, promotional content, which is the analog of in-app events on Google Play, is not available for small apps. So what you can do is you can try and secure that new launch featuring, which is available for apps in the first months after its release and with a rating over 3.8. That was it for the small apps. Now going on to mid-sized apps. At that stage, you might start using more advanced tactics, I would say, and the priorities list changes a little bit. So here, we're talking about putting that keyword optimization more in the support mode and leveraging secondary localization still, localizing/translating your metadata for relevant markets, optimizing ratings since they have a lot of impact on organic search impressions and conversion rate, using VIP keyword optimization, which I'll talk about in a minute, running systematic A/B testing with PPO and Google Play experiments. At that stage, at least in a few markets, you should have enough traffic to run those. Securing some extra visibility through in-app events, once again, in-app events, and promotional content in general, independent of the size of the app, is just such a big priority for App Store and Google Play. They talk about that on all the conferences, so just try to run that as much as you can. Also on the App Store, side note, all of the latest features I've seen, besides kind of the best of 2023, all of those featurings are essentially an in-app event converted into a featuring, so you need to run those. And finally, participating in seasonal deals and promotions. Let's go into a little bit more detail. As I said, at this scale, keyword optimization does not need to be as active. Instead, you can put that into the sort of support mode, I call that, which essentially means just reviewing your metadata once every few months, checking for new search terms, checking for new opportunities, and sort of like refreshing where needed. And also running 1 or 2 iterations of metadata optimization for the secondary markets. However, what I also found is that if your app has been on the market for a long time, so like a few years, you've done many iterations of keyword optimization, what I saw is that there is a risk of kind of losing more than you gain with keyword optimization. So you might fall out of like top 30 ranking, top 20 ranking, and gain top 50 ranking, which doesn't really make sense. It doesn't move the needle at all. Instead, what you can try is VIP keyword optimization, which is a multi-layered approach to optimizing your metadata. That goes kind of beyond just targeting keywords in your title, subtitle, and keyword field, which you still need to do, but that's just step one. Step two would be bidding on those keywords in Apple Search Ads. What I've seen is that for relevant keywords, you might actually just through that increase ranking from like top 50 to top 20, top 15, which is a really good result. And then step three, targeting those same keywords within your creative assets to kickstart that visual keyword recognition flywheel. What I mean by visual keyword recognition is this. Left is bad example, right is good example. If somebody is searching for scientific calculator, they're much likely to convert for that keyword if they recognize the word in the title, maybe in the creative assets as well. What that shows to the algorithm is that through increased conversion rate, your app becomes more relevant for the keyword, thus you might be ranked higher. Ratings optimization. The example you see here, especially the last two columns, is the impact of starting to incentivize user rating, so starting to show that native rating prompt within the app, and its impact on search impressions. It happened pretty much immediately for one of the apps I was working with. So if you have not optimized your rating prompt within your app, this is your sign to do that. It has a direct impact on organic search ranking on the App Store, and you should see some really good results from that. Systematic A/B testing. Yeah, here we're not happy with just applying stuff on the App Store and kind of doing before and after analysis. We are ready to start testing with Google Play. I guess less so with PPO, but also with PPO. You want to still prioritize tests by potential impact. From the highest impact, like icon, video, or no video tests, really big changes to screenshots, stuff that is really noticeable, basically. The bigger the change, the smaller the sample size you need for running such tests. So build out that roadmap with that in mind. Test as much as possible until you find a win. Once you find a win, try to not test for at least some time to let that kind of conversion rate improvement apply to 100% of traffic, not being split by test, and then test again. Get comfortable with applying non-statistically significant tests. Even if your app is relatively big, very often you'll get like tie results or wins with not 90% confidence level. Have an honest discussion about your kind of risk appetite, whether or not you're ready to apply the test without that 90% statistical significance. What you can do is apply that and then just do before and after analysis, like 1 or 2 weeks after you do that. And A/B test in key markets with enough traffic. For smaller markets, just extrapolate the results. Seasonal deals and promotions is kind of self-explanatory, but basically also on the topic of in-app events, promotional content. Obviously, there should be some update within the app as well for that, but try to create in-app events, pitch them if you have an access to the App Store app to the editorial team and secure that featuring. Yes, featuring gives you the kind of just a timely spike in traffic, but if you do that systematically, you get a lot of spikes. And that one spike is big enough for you to invest in that. Okay, finally, large and enterprise apps. At that stage, the brand is quite big. It's your asset. You also have to kind of more to lose. You have more stakeholders, and you've done ASO for a while now, I think. Also, the media mix is quite varied. So it becomes all about supporting those other traffic sources through ASO, since everybody ends up on the product page. So here I would say focus on the creative, support other channels through ASO. You can afford now probably to do deep localization and try to expand to new markets, run statistically significant testing, leverage and protect the brand, align with sort of brand guidelines while preserving growth. Sometimes that's a little bit challenging because, again, there's a lot of stakeholders within the company. Keyword optimization is kind of far down the list for apps of that size. It's still interesting to do once in a while, but you won't see the impact from that. Like, you will not grow an enterprise app through keyword optimization. And finally, ASO becomes more of an analytics function. This I covered already. As I said, I think here ASO, for that size of a company, for that size of a team, becomes more of a function of, okay, how do we not just increase our search downloads, but actually align our product page with other traffic sources and sort of help them up the funnel to optimize their ROI, ROAS, and whatnot. Alignment with brand guidelines while ensuring growth. This is important for, okay, App Store won't be a deal breaker for a big enterprise app when kind of doing a rebrand. even if you show the team that like conversion rate will drop. It doesn't really matter. There is a lot of stakeholders and a lot of work that gone through that. What you need to do as an ASO manager is try to help them. So try to run some pre-rebrand A/B testing. Try to see if you can test out different layouts, different colors and whatnot, to then show that data to the wider marketing team. You need to be clear. You need to have clear and consistent communication flow with the wider team, because very often your branding team, even paid UA team, doesn't always know about ASO. So it's your job to explain to them why ASO is important and what kind of data you can share with them. Openness to apply design that is negatively impacting conversion rate. I think that's the Airbnb example. When they updated the icon, I doubt the conversion rate spiked. Nobody really knew what that is. However, with time, I guess it worked out. So you need to also be ready to trust the kind of people from other teams, even though their data in the short term might not merge with yours. Leverage and protect the brand. The brand is your asset. So on the left, it's a good example of Zara and Need for Speed and the New Yorker of doing that. On the right, there are good and bad examples of protecting the brand through ASO brand defense campaigns. Try to do that if you have the budget. Alignment with other channels through custom product pages. Yeah, that's where ASO becomes a way to improve ROI of the total marketing spend. So definitely great options are custom product pages with Apple search ads, optimizing your visuals based on the keyword theme, where the traffic is coming from. Custom product pages with Meta are massive, given the size of kind of just total spend allocated to that channel usually. And custom store listings on Google Play with UAC play the same role. That I would prioritize pretty high on your to-do list if you're a big app. Expansion to new markets, once again, pretty self-explanatory. By deep localization, I mean not just translation, but accounting for local holidays, taste, and whatnot. Sometimes that might happen with conversion rate, if you have resources to explore that. Try to participate in market-specific seasonal events like Diwali in India, for example, through in-app events, once again, trying to get featured and just increasing your visibility on the App Store. Just keep in mind that expansion to new markets will also mean will have some operational costs. So that would also mean expansion of your reporting, of your analytics, potential troubleshooting. So you need to be ready for that. But if done successfully, that can actually increase the total pool of users, and you might grow your app. Statistically significant gradual testing. As a big app, you have large sample size to be testing smaller changes. So the font size, the phone size within the screenshots, kind of slide changes, screenshots order changes. All of that you can try an A/B test. You have enough traffic volume, and also, I guess you would be risking a little bit less if you're a big app. You don't really want to redesign all the time. Finally, ASO is an analytics function. I think ASO plays an important analytics role for pretty much any size of app, but for enterprise specifically, because ASO managers sit on a wealth of kind of performance data, from obviously downloads and impressions to sales data, usage data, conversion data, ratings and reviews by market, by traffic source, by date, by app version, by custom product page. All of that can be communicated primarily with a paid UA team, also with a product team, to try and get a holistic picture of your app growth kind of situation and opportunities. That's it for me. I hope you have a great conference. Thank you.